Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am super excited to have you here today, and if you're new to the channel, it's Steven here, and on this channel we build cool apps together while learning the best practices for Android development. Today we're starting a brand new series where we will build a full Android restaurant application with Kotlin, Jetpack Compose, Firebase for data collection and persistence, and MVVM architecture for scalability. And at the end of this series, you will have a full working application that you can add to your project portfolio or even take to production with your own little twist. So let's get to it. Here is a quick look at the design that we're building. So in this application, our first launch screen is our splash screen, and on our splash screen, once the user logs in, they will meet this screen and will implement some animation to this beautiful logo that I've designed. I know yours could be better, but it does the job. So once they click on this let's order a meal, it takes them to the authentication page, and on the authentication page they can just sign up with their existing Google account, and it takes them to the product overview page, or they can sign in as guests, because this is a very good user experience. In case some people might not be interested in signing up for the app, so they can just want to buy something as guests and move on. So because of that, we're going to implement this feature here. Once they are authenticated or they are guests, we'll set the conditions for guests in case of some privacy issues. Now they come to this product overview page. So in this product overview page, we're going to have this banner here that is going to have some background animation with the image that is there and some details of the product that is highlighted. So it might be the product of the day that they're trying to highlight and sell more of. That's some marketing gimmick. Then we have a row here that shows the category of the food products that this restaurant is offering. We'll have this. We're going to do this with a lazy row, as you know, with Jetpack Compose. And this is going to be our overview page and some bottom navigations here. As we move on, we have a custom drawer here that we're going to implement, where we'll have the profile, location, if the restaurant has so many locations, so that users can find their location, the location near to them, or the rewards that the user have earned on the app, and offers like things like discounts and all that, cashbacks and all that. Then contact us detail, which is always important. The next one is where the user can sign up from the app. So then the next one is the admin panel, and as you can see, our product overview page is displayed to the right once this menu for the drawer is clicked, and I think that's a very nice feature. So in the admin panel, which we're going to set the conditions for, is for the admin that can update the products and all that and add new product. And also, once the user signs up with their Google account, we'll have this profile page where they can add other details like their address, the country they are calling from, and their numbers, which we're going to implement some APIs that will fetch the country codes from as we go along. So these are the important details like the address, the name of the user, their email address, which we'll use during the checkout and to deliver their goods or whatever they buy. Then we move on to the product add new screen and update product screen, which is going to be where we can add, like the admin can add new products like the title, the image, and the description, the categories, the energy value of the food, and the allergy advice for health reasons, and the ingredients the food was made from, and also the price, and also to mark them as popular or new to highlight them on the product overview page. So as we move along, this is our details page, whereby you can see the full zoomed in image of the food you're buying, then the description and all that, and you can also buy it or just add them to cart and check out later. Then down here we have the food menu So this shows different categories of food that is offered by this restaurant. This is basically what we're going to be designing on this project, and we're going to add more features as we go along and update this Figma prototype. But I just wanted us to move on because the project was taking longer than I expected and with other things going on. So we'll update this prototype as we go. So you might see some things popping up. I will let you know once we do those updates. The next thing we're going to do now is to create our project on Android Studio, and from there we can now create our repo as well. So let's go to Android Studio and create a new project. All right, let's begin with creating an Android app. Create a new project, and that's going to be an empty Jetpack Compose activity. So in our application, I called it Burger Restaurant App. That's a long name, right? But that's still fine, right? So let's keep going, finish this up, give it some time to set up our project. We'll proceed. While we're waiting for that, let me quickly go to GitHub and create a new repository here, and that's still Burgers Restaurant app. So here we're not going to add any description so that it doesn't automatically give us a readme file, because if we have a readme file in our repository, we'll have issue pulling the Android local project that I've just created onto this remote repository. So we don't have time to mess around with that. In order to do that, the readme file has been turned off, so we just leave every other thing as it is and create this repository. Before we go, let's copy HTTPS link which we're going to use to link our project. I believe that I've copied to the clipboard. So our project is all set now. Before we start any further modification, let's make sure we've joined these two projects together. So here we're going to enable version control, which is Git that we're using, and say we've created Git repository in the folder, right? So now that we've done that, let's commit this project to the remote, and these on version files, and I will call this initial commit. Let's just add the IDE setting and just ignore all this to do. Our commit was successful. So now that we've done that, the next best thing to do is to push, and we're pushing to the remote, and then we add our link that we've just copied, and we tick that box that says fetch remote. So our commit has been pushed to the main branch, and we're glad about it. So let's go back to GitHub here and see if the GitHub has been updated. Let's refresh the page. So as you can see, our initial commit came through. So now we can successfully add our readme file here, which I will copy from somewhere, and we commit our changes directly to the main branch. So we commit the readme file. So now our application has the readme file with this brief instruction for some of you who want to clone this project, and I urge you to do that because I'm going to add all the required dependencies so that you don't mess around with that and you can start coding along immediately. So with that, now let's go to Android Studio and update. Let's update our project and merge all the changes. One file has been committed, so view commit, you see the readme file has been added to our project, I believe. Let's check our project package and see if the readme file is here. You see that? So our readme file has been successfully added to the local directly. So let's quickly give this a quick run and see if our project builds successfully before we start adding the dependencies and tackle that issue, because definitely it's going to give us some issues. Well, we'll sort that out. Okay, as you can see, our application is running effectively. So that takes us to the next thing to do on our development, which is to add the dependencies which we are going to be using here. So I'm going to copy the dependencies. We're not going to bore you with going through to find all the required dependencies from the documentation. We paste all these dependencies here. We add that up here, the top Gradle here. We'll add this, and we add that to the top Gradle here, because we need all of them I guess that's everything. So now let's do some updates. Okay, we have the latest version, and this is requesting to step this up, right? I hope it works, because sometimes this is the issue when they are not compatible. So let's sync our projects now and see if everything will work fine. Our projects, the sync went successful. So let's run our project again and see if it runs very fine again as it did before. So while this is running, here we have added the core dependencies, which we are going to use to load our images for these applications. And the coin dependencies were our dependency injection, and Kotlin as serialization as well, which we are going to use for our data classes. Then the coroutines for our flows, so to maintain effective flow and not have anything run on the main thread. This is pretty much it. We're going to add a lot more as we go, as the need arises. So, but these are the basic ones that we're going to need right from the start. So when we connect our project on the next episode to Firebase, we're also going to download some SDK dependencies there from there as well, which is going to help us build our project. So everything runs fine. There is no compatibility issues with the dependencies I've just added. So as you can see, our app launched again successfully. With that done, the next best thing to do, let's close this down again, is to add our image asset, icons, and our logo and all that. So I have this somewhere again. I will copy all the icons that will be needed to our project drawables and paste them here. So I will skip those conflicting ones and add the ones that don't exist. So now we've added all our drawable assets, which is our images and icons. So the next thing, we need to create a new directory, I must say, which I'm going to call font. We paste that in the font package. Okay, so add that to Git as well. So we have our fonts here in our project Figma file. We have some unique colors, brand colors that we've made use here. So let's go to Kotlin and our UI. In our UI here, we're going to add those colors. I don't want to delete this just yet because they are being used. I don't want errors, but we'll get rid of them as we go. Okay, so don't worry about that. So these are the colors that we have already, our brand colors. So the next thing to get from here is that now our font, we need to set our unique font sizes, because in this project I forgot to show you, we added some variables which we are going to use for our design. So in the token variables, that's where you find the brand colors, then the primitives, they are the shades and all color, the gray and the brown colors. So, and in the typography, where we have the set sizes for our fonts. So that is exactly what we're trying to do here. In the theme, we're going to create a Kotlin file which we're going to call font. We're going to add font, and I will add the one I copied here, which has everything that we'll need right here. So we need to import R, which is our resource folder. So yeah, here. So everything is fine, and I'll create another Kotlin object which I'm going to call resources. Right, so add this to Git as well, then come down here, we'll add in our resources. So now we need to import R, and R is this one, so the errors are gone. That's all our assets and dependencies set up. So, and you're going to find all of these in the starter repository, where you can just clone the repository and continue developing along. You don't need to waste your time copying all this. So the next thing we need to look at is the MVVM architecture before we wrap up today's episode. So now our application, I guess, should run as he did before. Before we wrap up today, let's talk about the architecture that we'll be using, the MVVM architecture, which stands for Model View Model. So the model will represent our data model, such as the product categories or the user items or data items, I must say, which we are going to be housing in our Firebase data store and Firebase database. That is going to be our model. So the model is going to be separated from the view model, which will handle the business logic and expose our UI state, which is going to be an interface. So like, the principle coding to the interface. The view model will now pass the data to the UI, which is the view. And in this case, we're using Jetpack Compose for our screens, and we'll observe the state and render it for the user to see. So this separation makes our app more scalable, testable, and easier to maintain. So from the next episode, we'll start applying this structure. That's it for this episode, and I hope you enjoyed it. In the next episode, we'll connect our project to Firebase and also implement authentication with Google for our users, and also give them the opportunity to browse as visitors. We will also start implementing our navigation so that users can navigate seamlessly through the screens of our app, like from the splash screen to the authentication screen and to our home screen where they can see our products. Make sure you don't miss the next episode. And how will you do that if you don't subscribe? So I'll urge you please to subscribe and also hit that bell notification icon so that when the next episode drops, you'll be the first to know, because I want you to follow along in this project, because there's a lot we're going to expose and learn in this project. And if you are still excited and interested as I am, I will see you on the next episode. Cheers.